Admiral Frank Bennett stood on the bridge of the U.S. horizon, his eyes fixed on the main screen. The three crystalline ships hanging in Earth's orbit looked like nothing humans had ever built. They gleamed with a bluish light that seemed to pulse from within. After 50 years of searching the stars, humanity finally had its answer. They were not alone. "Status report," Bennett said, his voice steadied despite the weight of the moment. "The alien vessels maintain position, sir," replied Lieutenant Gary Wells from the tactical station. "No weapons detected, but their energy readings are off the charts." Bennett nodded. "And the delegation?" "Ready in Shuttle Bay 2. Dr. Morgan is leading the team as ordered." In the Shuttle Bay, Dr. Alice Morgan checked her uniform one last time. As Earth's leading xenolinguist, she had spent her life preparing for this moment without knowing if it would ever come. Now, she would be among the first humans to meet beings from another world. "Nervous?" asked Colonel Richard Davis, her military escort. "Terrified," Alice admitted with a small smile, "but in a good way." The shuttle departed the horizon, heading toward the United Nations headquarters in New York, where the meeting would take place. World leaders had argued for days about the location, but in the end, they chose the symbolic heart of Earth's attempts at unity. When Alice and her team arrived, the UN building was surrounded by crowds held back by security forces. People carried signs ranging from "Welcome Space Friends" to "Aliens Go Home." Some prayed, others partied. Most just watched the sky in wonder. Inside the General Assembly Hall, representatives from every nation sat in tense silence. Alice took her place at the central table, arranging her translation equipment, though she had no idea if it would be useful. A side door opened, and the room fell completely silent. The alien delegate entered first. Ambassador Zorthal of the Varaxian species stood nearly 7 feet tall, with iridescent scales covering a slender body. 6 eyes, arranged in pairs, moved independently, seeming to study everything at once. Behind the ambassador came 4 other aliens of different species, each stranger than the last. Alice rose to her feet, heart pounding. "On behalf of Earth, I welcome you to our world." The translator devices remained silent as Zorthal opened what appeared to be a mouth and spoke perfect English. "We thank you for your welcome, Dr. Morgan. I am Ambassador Zorthal of the Galactic Consortium, a union of 17 spacefaring civilizations. We have come to evaluate Earth's readiness to join our interstellar community." A murmur ran through the hall. Alice maintained her professional composure despite her shock. "We're honored by your consideration, Ambassador. We have many questions." "As do we," Zorthal replied. "Your species has advanced at a remarkable rate. What took others millennia, you have achieved in centuries. This is both impressive and concerning to us." The initial meeting lasted 3 hours. The aliens explained that Earth would undergo a 6-month assessment period. They would establish an embassy, exchange knowledge, and determine if humans were ready for the wider galaxy. Later that evening, at a smaller meeting with just key officials, Zorthal reviewed historical records of human development. "Your technological progress is unprecedented," the ambassador said, displaying a holographic chart comparing Earth to other worlds. "But so is your capacity for destruction." A hologram shifted to show wars, nuclear tests, and environmental damage. "Ambassador," Alice said carefully, "every species must have gone through difficult periods in their development." "Yes, but few with such intensity." Zorthal's multiple eyes focused on her. "You achieve in decades what takes others centuries. Your adaptability is remarkable, but it comes with a cost." Secretary General Paul Harris leaned forward. "Are you saying we're too dangerous to join your consortium?" "I am saying," Zorthal replied, "that we must understand what drives you before we can determine your place among the stars. Your potential is enormous, for creation or destruction. The assessment will help us see which path you are likely to follow." As the meeting ended, Alice caught Ambassador Zorthal studying a display of Earth's military forces with particular interest. "Is something troubling you, Ambassador?" she asked. Not troubling, Dr. Morgan. Fascinating. In all our travels, we have never encountered a species quite like yours. I look forward to learning more about what makes humans human. Admiral Bennett, watching from across the room, couldn't decide if those words were a compliment or a warning. 3 months passed since the arrival of the Galactic Consortium. The aliens established their temporary embassy in Geneva, a sprawling structure that seemed to grow from the ground like a crystal forest. A selected team of human scientists and diplomats now worked closely with the visitors, learning and being studied in return. Lieutenant John Peterson walked the perimeter of the embassy grounds, his eyes constantly scanning for threats. As a Navy SEAL before joining the diplomatic security team, he had seen combat on 3 continents. Now he guarded beings from beyond the stars. "Another quiet day, Lieutenant?" asked Dr. Kate Miller as she approached, carrying equipment cases. "So far," John replied. "Heading to the biology lab again." Kate nodded enthusiastically. "Ambassador Zorthel approved my request to study Varaxian cellular structures. I still can't believe their cells can change function based on environmental needs." "Just be careful," John said. "They're studying you as much as you're studying them." Inside the embassy, the daily cultural exchange session was beginning. Humans and aliens gathered in a circular room with walls that shifted colors based on the emotional atmosphere of the group. Today, the walls glowed a curious blue-green. Dr. Alice Morgan observed as consortium representatives demonstrated a device that allowed instant communication across light years. A small crystal sphere floated above a pedestal, projecting a 3-dimensional image of another alien on a ship currently patrolling the edge of the solar system. "The quantum entanglement allows for 0 delay," explained Rilzax, a feline-like alien with 6 limbs and copper fur. "Distance is irrelevant." "This would revolutionize our communication systems," said engineer Sam Foster, reaching toward the device before stopping himself. "Sorry, may I examine it closer?" Rilzax nodded. "You may, though I must inform you that attempting to disassemble it would trigger safety protocols." In another section of the embassy, Ambassador Zorthel met with Secretary General Harris and Admiral Bennett. The mood was tense. "Your request to inspect our military installations is concerning," Bennett said. "What exactly are you looking for?" Zorthal's 6 eyes blinked in sequence. "We must understand all aspects of human civilization to make our assessment. Your defensive capabilities are particularly relevant." "Relevant to what?" Harris asked. "You've seen our technology level. We're hardly a threat to species that can travel between stars." "It is not your current capabilities that interest us," Zorthel replied. "It is your potential. No species we have encountered advances as rapidly as humans. What you might become in a century is of great interest to the consortium." Outside the embassy, protests had grown. Some welcomed the aliens with open arms, but others viewed them with suspicion. News channels broadcast theories ranging from reasonable concerns to wild conspiracies about alien invasion plans. Lieutenant Peterson noticed the increased tension as he completed his patrol. 3 different protest groups had gathered at the main gate, held back by UN security forces. One group carried signs reading "Earth First" and chanted about alien threats. Back in the biology lab, Kate made a discovery that sent her rushing to find Alice. She found the xenolinguist in the library section, studying consortium historical records. "Alice, you need to see this," Kate said, showing her tablet. "I've been analyzing the medical scans they performed on our team. They're particularly interested in our brain chemistry during stress responses." "What do you mean?" "They've been subtly exposing us to minor stressors during our work. Complex puzzles with short deadlines, sudden loud noises, even mild temperature changes, and measuring our responses. They're specifically focused on how we adapt under pressure." Alice frowned. "That matches what I've been seeing in their questions and tests. They keep coming back to our adaptability, especially in crisis situations." Later that evening, John Peterson sat in the embassy cafeteria, watching aliens and humans attempt to share a meal together. Despite their differences, some genuine connections were forming. He noticed Zorthal observing the room from a corner, the ambassador's multiple eyes taking in every detail. When their gazes met, Zorthal approached and sat across from him. "Lieutenant," the ambassador said, "I understand you have seen combat." John nodded cautiously. "I have. I would value your perspective on how humans maintain function during extreme danger. Other species often freeze or panic. Yet your historical records show remarkable examples of humans performing complex tasks, even when survival seems unlikely." John studied the alien's face, wondering what lay behind those 6 unblinking eyes. "We do what needs to be done," he said simply. "It's who we are." 4 months into the assessment, Admiral Bennett received an urgent message. Ambassador Zorthal requested a private meeting with Earth's highest officials. Only 5 humans would be allowed: the Secretary General, Admiral Bennett, Dr. Morgan, the President of the United States, and the Chinese Premier. They gathered in a secure room deep within the Geneva Embassy. The walls here were not the color-changing crystals found elsewhere, but a dull, sound-absorbing material that reminded Bennett of a military bunker. Zorthal entered with 2 other aliens, a tall, thin being with transparent skin through which complex organs could be seen pulsing, and a shorter creature with metallic scales and 4 arms. Neither had been introduced to humans before. "Thank you for coming," Zorthal said. "What I share today has not been revealed to any non-consortium species in 800 years." The room fell silent. Secretary General Harris leaned forward. "We're listening, Ambassador. The consortium is not merely an alliance for cultural and scientific exchange," Zorthal explained. "It is primarily a defensive pact against an enemy we call the Void." Images appeared in the air between them, planets reduced to lifeless rock, star systems with unusual energy distortions, and ships unlike any in the consortium fleet. 3 civilizations have been wiped out in the past century, continued Zorthal. The Void leaves no survivors, no messages. They consume and move on. "Why tell us this now?" asked the Chinese Premier. "Because your assessment is reaching a critical phase," replied the transparent alien in a voice like water flowing over stones. "I am Elder Nith, from the founding species of the consortium. We seek allies with specific capabilities." Admiral Bennett studied the images carefully. "You're preparing for war." "We are preparing for survival," corrected Zorthal. "The Void moves slowly but without pause. Their technology exceeds our own, but they have weaknesses. And you think humans can help exploit these weaknesses?" Dr. Morgan asked. "Perhaps," said the 4-armed alien. "I am General Kraz. My analysis suggests humans possess unique tactical adaptability. You think differently." Dr. Morgan processed this information quickly. "So the consortium isn't just evaluating if we're peaceful enough to join. You're looking for weapons." The room temperature seemed to drop. Zorthal's eyes rotated to focus entirely on her. "Not weapons, Doctor. Partners. But your understanding is partially correct. Your species' aggressive adaptability might be valuable against the Void, but it also concerns us deeply." "You're afraid of us," said the American president, "even while considering us as allies." "With reason," Zorthal replied. "In our studies of thousands of species, none show the human capacity for both creation and destruction. Your history demonstrates remarkable cooperation alongside devastating conflict." "We've grown beyond many of our worst impulses," objected Harris. "Have you?" asked Elder Nith, "or have you simply contained them?" Admiral Bennett stood up. "I think we deserve a clear answer, Ambassador. Do you see us as potential friends or threats?" Zorthal moved closer, towering over Bennett. The Admiral didn't step back. "That is precisely what makes your species unique, Admiral. You can be both simultaneously." The Ambassador's voice lowered. "You humans have a quality we have observed, but never fully understood. A switch that flips when cornered." "A switch?" asked the Chinese Premier. "Your normal behavioral constraints disappear when survival is threatened," explained General Kraz. "Your efficiency increases. Your moral limitations shift. Your focus narrows to victory at any cost. Zorthal nodded slowly. May the gods help you when humans lose control, and may they help any who stand in your way. The room fell silent again. Dr. Morgan broke it first. That sounds like both a compliment and a warning, Ambassador. It is both, confirmed Zorthal. The consortium must decide if your unique nature makes you valuable allies or unpredictable dangers. Some members believe you would be perfect against the void. Others fear you might become something worse if exposed to interstellar war. As they left the meeting, Admiral Bennett walked beside Dr. Morgan. What do you think they'll decide? She asked quietly. Bennett looked back at the embassy, its crystal towers gleaming in the setting sun. I think they're going to test us, he said. And I don't think we're going to like how they do it. 6 months into the assessment, Lieutenant John Peterson arrived for his morning shift at the Geneva embassy. The sun had barely risen, casting long shadows across the crystalline structure. Something felt wrong. The normal hum of the building seemed different, and the alien security staff were missing from their usual posts. John's hand moved to his sidearm as he approached the main entrance. The door was slightly ajar, a serious breach of protocol. He called for backup and then entered cautiously, weapon drawn. The lobby showed signs of a struggle. Furniture was overturned, and strange burn marks scared the walls. A trail of blue liquid, alien blood, led toward the central elevator. His radio crackled. Peterson, this is Bennett. What's your status? Sir, the embassy has been breached. Signs of violence. No contacts yet, friendly or hostile. Hold position. Response team is 3 minutes out. Negative. Sir, I hear sounds from the upper levels. Someone might need immediate assistance. Before Admiral Bennett could object, John switched off his radio. He took the emergency stairs, moving silently up toward the diplomatic level where most of the alien representatives lived and worked. On the 3rd floor, he heard voices, human voices, coming from the main conference room. We've got 2 of them alive, someone said. That should be enough for the lab boys to work with. What about the main one? The 6-eyed freak. Still barricaded in the secure room with some humans. They won't last long once the charges are set. John peered around the corner. 6 armed individuals in black tactical gear with Earth-First patches were gathering equipment. 2 unconscious aliens lay on the floor. At that moment, alarms began blaring throughout the building. The Earth-First members grabbed their weapons. Move up to the secure level, their leader ordered. No witnesses. John waited until they passed, then checked the fallen aliens. They were alive but badly injured. He recognized one as Rilzax, the scientist who worked with Dr. Miller. The thought of Kate made John's blood go cold. She had an early morning meeting scheduled with Ambassador Zorthal. Instead of following the terrorists, John took another route to the secure level. When he reached the top floor, smoke filled the hallways. A small explosion had damaged part of the ceiling, and fires were spreading quickly. He found the secure room's door dented but intact. When he knocked, a voice from inside called out. Who's there? Lieutenant Peterson. Dr. Miller, is that you? The door opened just enough for him to slip inside. Kate Miller's face was streaked with soot, but she appeared unharmed. Behind her, Dr. Morgan was helping Ambassador Zorthal tend to an injured human security guard. 2 other alien delegates huddled in the corner, looking terrified. What happened? John asked, securing the door behind him. Earth First attacked during the early shift change, Kate explained. They killed 3 alien diplomats before we could lock down this section. Ambassador Zorthal approached. 2 of his 6 eyes focused on John while the others scanned the room. Lieutenant Peterson, the attackers are attempting to reach this room. They want our communication crystal and navigation data. Backup is coming, John said, checking his ammunition. But the fires are spreading. This room will be unsafe in minutes. Dr. Morgan joined them. There's a maintenance tunnel that leads to the sub-basement. We might be able to reach it through the air ducts. Outside, They heard voices and the sound of equipment being set up. "They're preparing explosives," John said. "We need to move now." They helped the injured guard to his feet. John led the way, guiding the group toward a ventilation panel in the ceiling. As they worked to remove it, Kate pulled John aside. "They're after alien technology," she whispered. "But I think they also wanted to trigger a diplomatic crisis." The leader said something about showing the world that aliens bleed too. The panel came free. John boosted Kate up first, then helped the others. Ambassador Zorthal was the last besides John. Before entering the duct, the ambassador turned his eyes fully on the lieutenant. "I see now why your admiral values you, Lieutenant Peterson. You came alone, against orders, knowing the danger." John checked his weapon again. "Just doing my job, Ambassador." "No," Zorthal replied. "You are demonstrating exactly what makes your species unique. I am most curious to see what happens next." The maintenance tunnel was dark and narrow. John led the way, with Kate right behind him. Ambassador Zorthal had to bend nearly double to fit, while Dr. Morgan helped the injured guard. The other two aliens moved silently, their eyes better adapted to the darkness. Above them, they heard explosions as the Earth-first terrorists breached the secure room. "They'll check the ventilation system next," John whispered. "We need to move faster." The tunnel sloped downward, leading them deeper into the embassy's foundation. The air grew colder and smelled of damp concrete. After 20 minutes of careful movement, they reached a junction where 3 passages met. "Which way?" Kate asked. Before John could answer, they heard voices echoing from the left tunnel. "I told you they'd use the maintenance routes," someone said. "Fan out and find them. Remember, we need at least 1 alien alive for study." John quickly assessed their situation. 7 people, 1 injured, most unarmed, facing an unknown number of armed terrorists. "That passage should lead to the underground parking area," he said, pointing right. "Dr. Morgan, can you get the others there?" Alice looked at him sharply. "What are you planning?" "I'll buy you some time." "That's suicide," Kate objected. John checked his weapon. "No, it's tactics. They'll expect us to run. I'll give them something else to think about." Ambassador Zorthal studied John with all 6 eyes. "You are choosing to face superior numbers to protect others." "It's what we do," John replied simply. "Now go." As the others moved down the right passage, John took position at the junction. He controlled his breathing, slowing his heart rate like he'd been taught in SEAL training. The world around him seemed to narrow, his senses sharpening. 3 terrorists appeared in the left tunnel. John waited until they were fully exposed, then fired. His shots were precise, 2 to disable, 1 to distract. As the 3rd man dived for cover, John moved to a new position. In the other tunnel, Kate heard the gunshots and paused. Dr. Morgan urged her forward. "He knows what he's doing," Alice said. Ambassador Zorthal moved beside them. His vital signs change before he engaged. Pupil dilation, altered breathing pattern, blood flow redirection. "Is this common in human defenders?" "It's training," Alice explained as they continued moving. The lit soldiers learned to control fear responses. "No," Zorthal said. "This is more. I have studied your military training. What your lieutenant is displaying goes beyond training." Back at the junction, John had disabled 2 more attackers. He moved silently through the shadows, becoming the hunter rather than the hunted. His mind calculated angles, distances, and probabilities without conscious effort. When 4 terrorists came down the center tunnel with flashlights and heavier weapons, John didn't retreat. He found a narrow maintenance shaft, climbed above them, and waited. As they passed beneath him, he dropped down, taking 2 out before they could react. The other 2 fired wildly, missing in their panic. John didn't miss. In the parking area, Kate and the others found an emergency exit. As they prepared to open it, 3 more Earth First members appeared. "Don't move," one shouted, raising his weapon. Suddenly, the lights went out. In the darkness, someone moved with incredible speed. When emergency lights flickered on 30 seconds later, all three terrorists were unconscious on the floor, and John stood over them, securing their weapons. Kate stared at him. "How did you?" "Later," John said, his voice different, flatter, more efficient. "Exits clear. Move now." Outside, emergency vehicles surrounded the embassy. Admiral Bennett directed the evacuation operation from a command post. When he saw John leading the survivors out, relief washed over his face. Later, in a secure medical facility, doctors treated the injured while security debriefed the survivors. Ambassador Zorthal sat with Admiral Bennett and General Kraz, who had arrived from the consortium ship. "Now you understand what I meant," Zorthal said to Kraz. "When humans feel threatened, they access a part of themselves that is unlike anything we've seen in the galaxy. One human against trained attackers," Kraz noted. "The odds were not favorable. Yet he prevailed," said Zorthal. "And notice, now that the danger has passed, he returns to normal behavior patterns." The switch turns off. Through a window, they watched John sitting with Kate and Alice, his posture relaxed again, the deadly efficiency replaced by human warmth. "Remarkable," Kraz admitted. Perhaps the Council was right to consider them. 1 week after the attack, the consortium ships changed position. They moved to high orbit, weapon systems clearly visible and powered. Earth's governments went on high alert, and military forces worldwide prepared for possible conflict. Admiral Bennett stood on the bridge of the U.S. horizon, watching the alien vessels on the main screen. "Any response to our communications?" he asked his communications officer. "No, sir. They've been silent since they moved position." Dr. Morgan and Dr. Miller arrived on the bridge, escorted by Lieutenant Peterson. All three had spent days being debriefed about the embassy attack. "Admiral, we need to talk," Alice said. "I think I understand what's happening." Bennett led them to the conference room. On the table, satellite images showed the damaged embassy and the consortium ships. "The consortium feels betrayed," Alice explained. "The attack on their embassy violated diplomatic principles, but there's more to their reaction than just anger." Kate opened her tablet computer. "I've been analyzing the data from my research with Rilzax. The consortium wasn't just studying us. They were testing us all along." "Testing how?" Bennett asked. "They created scenarios to measure our responses," Kate continued. "Small challenges during work sessions, unexpected problems to solve. They wanted to see how we adapt under pressure." John leaned forward. "And now they've seen a real example, the embassy attack." "Exactly," Alice said. "Ambassador Zorthal specifically mentioned a switch that flips in humans when threatened. They've now witnessed it firsthand." A message alert sounded. The main screen activated, showing Ambassador Zorthal aboard the largest consortium ship. "Admiral Bennett," Zorthal said, "the Consortium Council requires a meeting with your representatives in 6 hours. You may bring 3 humans of your choosing to our vessel." "Ambassador, your ships have taken offensive positions," Bennett replied. "This appears hostile." "It is precautionary," Zorthal answered. "Recent events have accelerated our assessment process. The Council must decide Earth's status immediately." After the transmission ended, Bennett turned to the others. "I don't like this. It could be a trap. Or it could be our only chance to prevent conflict." Alice argued. "I should go as your diplomatic advisor." "I'll go too," John offered. "You'll need security." Kate added, "And I understand their scientific approach better than anyone. I might see things others miss." 6 hours later, a small Earth shuttle approached the main consortium ship. Inside, Bennett, Alice, John, and Kate prepared for the most important meeting in human history. The consortium vessel swallowed their shuttle into a vast hangar bay. Alien craft of various designs lined the walls. Armed guards from multiple species escorted them to a circular chamber where 15 representatives sat in a semicircle. Ambassador Zorthal stood at the center. "Admiral Bennett, thank you for coming. The Council has been evaluating Earth for 6 months. The recent attack has provided unexpected but valuable data. Data? Bennett asked. 3 of your diplomats were killed. A tragedy, Zorthal acknowledged, but it revealed truth that might have taken years to discover otherwise. A holographic display activated, showing Lieutenant Peterson in the embassy tunnels. The aliens had recorded his actions during the attack. We witnessed a human defending others at risk to himself, Zorthal explained. We saw the neural and physiological changes that accompany your species' defensive response. What you call training is actually an ability to access heightened states of awareness and efficiency. General Kraz stepped forward. Some council members fear this ability. Others, including myself, see potential. Potential for what? Alice asked, though she suspected the answer. Elder Nith, the transparent alien from before, floated toward them. Our long-range sensors have detected an object entering your solar system, possibly a scout for the void. The hologram changed to show a dark, irregular shape moving past Neptune's orbit. We propose a joint mission, Zorthal said. A human consortium crew will intercept this object and gather intelligence. If it is indeed the void, we must learn all we can. And if we refuse? Bennett asked. Then our assessment ends with Earth classified as potential future threat, Zorthal replied. The consortium would withdraw all contact for at least a century. The 4 humans exchanged glances. Bennett nodded slightly. We'll need to consult our governments, he said. But speaking personally, I believe Earth would welcome the opportunity to work together against a common threat. Excellent, Zorthal said. The Council will prepare a suitable vessel. Lieutenant Peterson, Dr. Miller, and Dr. Morgan will represent Earth on this mission. The consortium vessel Starlight Seeker accelerated beyond Mars orbit, carrying its mixed crew toward the outer solar system. The ship gleamed like polished silver, its engines leaving a blue trail that faded quickly in the vacuum of space. Inside, Lieutenant John Peterson stood on the observation deck, watching Earth shrink to a small blue dot. He had been aboard for 3 days, but the wonder of space travel hadn't diminished. Beautiful, isn't it? Dr. Kate Miller joined him at the viewport. Makes our problems seem small, John agreed. Not small enough, Kate said, pointing to a screen showing the mysterious object they were pursuing. That thing crossed the orbit of Neptune in half the time it should have. The door slid open as Rilzax entered. The copper-furred alien had recovered from injuries sustained during the embassy attack and now served as their mission science officer. Dr. Miller, Lieutenant Peterson, you are requested on the command deck, Rilzax said. We will reach intercept position in 6 hours. On the command deck, Dr. Alice Morgan was already working with the consortium crew. 4 different alien species operated stations around a central holographic display showing their course. Ambassador Zorthal stood with General Kraz, reviewing tactical options. Ah, our human friends arrive, Zorthal said. We must discuss the approaching encounter. The hologram shifted to show the unknown object in greater detail. Its surface was black, absorbing all light, with odd geometric patterns that seemed to shift when viewed directly. Our scans detect no energy emissions, General Kraz explained. Yet it moves with purpose. We believe it may be dormant or conserving power. What exactly is the plan when we reach it? John asked. Observation first, Zorthal replied. Then, if safe, a small team will approach in a shuttle for closer study. The hours passed with increasing tension. Each member of the crew prepared in their own way. John checked his equipment repeatedly. Kate reviewed all available data on the void. Alice studied consortium protocols for first contact situations. When they finally reached the intercept point, the object came into visual range. It was smaller than expected, perhaps 100 meters across, but its surface seemed to bend light around it. Remarkable, Rilzax said, studying the sensor readings. It appears to be partially phase-shifted between normal space and somewhere else. Is it from the void? Kate asked. Unknown, Zorthal admitted. Its configuration does not match previous encounters. However, the technology seems similarly advanced. General Kraz ordered a shuttle prepared. We need closer readings. Ambassador, who should go? I will lead the team, Zorthal said. Lieutenant Peterson, Dr. Miller, please join us. Your human perspective may notice things we miss. As they boarded the shuttle, Alice pulled John aside. Be careful, she said. Remember, they're still evaluating us. Whatever happens, they'll be watching how you respond. The shuttle detached from the Starlight Seeker and approached the dark object. As they drew closer, the shuttle's instruments began to behave strangely. Readings fluctuated, and communication with the main ship became distorted. Something is affecting our systems, the shuttle pilot reported. Recommend we maintain distance. Before Zorthal could respond, the object's surface shifted. A section slid open, revealing a dark cavity. It's scanning us, Kate said, checking her handheld device. Energy patterns similar to a sensor sweep. Suddenly, a beam of pale blue light shot from the opening, striking the shuttle. The craft shuddered violently. All systems failing. The pilot shouted. Controls not responding. John moved to the pilot's station, quickly assessing the damage. We're being pulled in. Some kind of tractor beam. Zorthal's 6 eyes blinked rapidly in what John had learned was an expression of alarm. Activate emergency protocols. Alert the Starlight Seeker. As the shuttle drifted helplessly toward the opening, John felt a strange calm settle over him. The familiar switch was flipping, just as it had in the embassy tunnels. His mind raced through options, calculating probabilities. The shuttle's thrusters are damaged but not destroyed, he said, his voice steady. If we reroute power from life support to the port thrusters, we might create enough asymmetrical thrust to break free. Kate looked at him with surprise. That would give us less than 10 minutes of air. Better than none, John replied, already working on the control panel. Dr. Miller, I need your help with the power couplings. As they worked frantically, Zorthal observed John's transformation, the focused efficiency, the rapid problem-solving, the absolute commitment to survival. This was exactly what the consortium had been studying. The shuttle broke free from the tractor beam with a violent lurch. John's plan had worked. The asymmetrical thrust had disrupted the pull just enough. They tumbled away from the dark object, systems barely functioning, air growing thin. Main ship approaching, Kate gasped, conserving her breath as she checked the sensors. 60 seconds to retrieval. On the Starlight Seeker's bridge, Dr. Alice Morgan watched the rescue operation with General Kraz. The larger ship extended a capture field around the damaged shuttle, pulling it safely into the docking bay. Medical teams rushed to meet them. The shuttle crew emerged, breathing heavily in the fresh air. John supported Zorthal, who had been injured during their escape. The object is activating, Rilzax announced over the ship-wide communication system. Energy readings increasing rapidly. On the main screen, they watched as the mysterious craft's surface rippled with patterns of light. Sections began to unfold, revealing complex structures beneath. It's transforming, Kate said, joining Alice on the bridge despite medical protests. Reconfiguring after our encounter. The object suddenly accelerated, moving with impossible speed toward the Starlight Seeker. Evasive action, ordered General Kraz. The consortium vessel banked sharply, but the object adjusted its course with equal precision. When it was within 5 kilometers, it released a pulse of energy that washed over the ship. All systems flickered momentarily. It's scanning us more deeply, Rilzax explained, learning our capabilities. John arrived on the bridge, still looking focused but no longer in his combat state. It's not attacking. It's curious. This isn't combat behavior. Agreed, said Zorthal, who had followed despite his injuries. This is not consistent with the Void's usual tactics. Alice studied the sensor readings. It's sending a signal, not to us, outward, toward deep space. A report to its masters, Kraz suggested grimly. Or something else, John said. Ambassador, Permission to try direct communication. Zorthel's eyes rotated in consideration. How would you proceed? Simple mathematical sequences, John explained. Universal patterns that any advanced intelligence should recognize. The ambassador nodded. Proceed. Using the ship's communication array, John sent a series of prime numbers, followed by basic geometric patterns. For several minutes, there was no response. Then the object matched their signal, repeating it back perfectly before adding new sequences. It's communicating, Kate exclaimed. Over the next hour, they established a rudimentary exchange. The object was not from the void, but from another advanced civilization, calling themselves the Architects. They were explorers, cataloging species and technology throughout the galaxy. They'd been watching the consortium for centuries, Alice translated as the communication grew more complex, and they've been especially interested in Earth since we developed radio. Why didn't they contact us directly? General Kraz demanded. The answer came through clearly. We observed before engaging. Your mixed crew of different species working together triggered our protocols for first contact. 2 weeks later, a ceremony took place in the rebuilt Geneva embassy. Representatives from Earth, the consortium, and a newly arrived architect vessel signed a 3-way agreement of cooperation and mutual defense. Admiral Bennett stood with John, Kate, and Alice as Ambassador Zorthal addressed the assembled diplomats. The universe is larger and more complex than any of us imagined, Zorthal said. The void remains a threat, but we now have new allies. The architects bring knowledge that will benefit us all. Later, at a private reception, Zorthal approached the human team. When I first arrived on Earth, I warned about what happens when humans lose control, the ambassador said. I saw it as a danger. Now I understand it differently. How so? Alice asked. What looks like losing control is actually finding a different kind of control, Zorthal explained. Where other species panic, humans focus. Where others freeze, humans adapt. Where others see only threat, humans find opportunity. General Kraz joined them, holding a data crystal. The Consortium Council has approved full membership for Earth. Your ships will be upgraded with our technology, and joint defense forces will be established. Admiral Bennett accepted the crystal. We're ready to do our part. As the celebration continued, John stood at a window looking at the stars. Kate joined him, following his gaze. Thinking about what's out there, she asked. Thinking about what's in here, John replied, pointing to his heart. The aliens were so interested in what makes us different, but they missed something important. What's that? The switch they're so fascinated by. It doesn't just turn on when we're threatened. It activates when we care deeply about protecting others. That's the real human difference. In orbit above them, ships from 3 civilizations moved in harmony, a new alliance born from understanding that sometimes losing control is exactly what the universe needs.